Warning. This movie deals with subject matter you will hopefully find depraved and disturbing. These are actors in a work of fiction. Nobody was harmed except for all the secondhand smoke. God, that is the worst Nic Cage impression. I should be ashamed. Before streaming, before the internet had everything, and I mean everything, you actually had to go out to get entertainment. Like savages. Entertainment came on videocassettes, such as VHS or Betamax. You went to a physical store to rent them. Before that, movies came on little rolls of film, 35, 16, or the more consumer-friendly 8mm. You kids with your Netflix and your hubs, we had to work for our viewing pleasures. But there's a whole other side, a deeper, darker underbelly, with sick, twisted stuff. You can search for it after this is over. This is 8mm. Nicolas Cage is Tom Wells, private investigator. He finishes up a job telling a client, a senator, that her husband is a cheating bastard. I kind of wanted to be a private investigator when I was in my moonlighting phase. He goes home to his wife and baby after definitely not smoking.
You been smoking?
Smoking? I'm not smoking.
He gets a call for a new job, and it's a doozy. Working for a wealthy widow named Mrs. Christian. Interesting choice of name. Her husband, who was a big cheese, recently died, and while cleaning up his private stuff, she found an 8mm film of a woman's murder. This is her lawyer, sleazebag. Important later.
But how many people seem to be realistically killed in movies and on television every day?
It could be fake. He once wore John Travolta's face for 2 hours.
You get looking.
Real or not, she needs to be sure.
Would you look at the film and give us your opinion?
I've been a bad, bad girl.
We really don't see the action here, thank heavens, but his reaction is legendary. You should see the thumbnail. That was the hottest thing I've ever seen. Got any more?
Tell me the poor girl wasn't killed.
They need Wells to determine if it's real and track down the girl if she's alive. He takes the well-paying job, but he needs to be discreet because Mr. Christian, big cheese, and this would look horrible in the biography. They give him the film for assignment, but no copies, and be kind, please rewind. He's not great at hiding the smoking either. I think he wants to get caught. To the seedy underbelly we go. He treats the girl as a missing person, so he goes through the usual methods. A tattoo reveals the best lead yet, and a possible match on a missing girl named Marianne. My wife and I agree we don't really see the resemblance, but I guess out of the dozens of pictures he looks at, it's the closest one. He interviews Mary's mother, gets some details, smokes cigarettes. He finds Mary's secret diary in the world's most neglected toilet tank. Keep in mind, she's been gone for years, and nobody's looked in this toilet tank. Ugh. She writes about falling in love with some guy named Warren, and running away from him and going to Hollywood to be in pictures. But Warren's in jail, and he's of little help. Hey, it's Norman Reedus. Mary left him to go to California to get into the movies. Mission accomplished. And he went on to become a boondock saint.
Do you ever consider Mary may never come back?
Mary's mother holds on to hope that she's still alive, and you also get the impression that she's extremely lonely and kinda sad. She looks ready to jump right into Willy's Wonderland, if you catch my meaning. He steals a photo of Mary so we can look at her not being butchered, and Wells goes to Hollywood. Well, Hollywood adjacent. He goes from place to perverted place, until he meets adult video store employee Max California, played by Joaquin Phoenix. He re-watches the movie over and over for research, and pores over porno mags, more research. And he spies another clue. There's another man in the video. But that just means the conspiracy goes deeper. He recruits Max to help.
I need information. I thought you might be able to help.
He's actually brighter than he lets on, but he's still got the hookups. Max is a wealth of knowledge, and he knows where to find more intense stuff. They're looking for what's called a snuff film. It's a movie of someone getting killed. If Twitter was a store.
Películas de snuff.
And you have to be careful who you ask for snuff. I kind of feel like you need to work up to that. You got boy, girl?
Yeah!
How about girl, girl?
Yeah!
How about boy, dead girl?
What?
They finally find some, of all things, Filipino snuff, represent, but thankfully it's fake.
Isn't that the same girl?
Prolific actresses really kill the fantasy. Then I noticed Max has Wolverine hair. It's just an observation. We see Wells as being followed, but nothing comes of it yet. He obtains Mary's suitcase from a church because they have the space, apparently, and it's chock full of clues. He tracks Mary to a porno movie studio where James Gandolfini, who plays Eddie, definitely doesn't recognize her. They got some horrible liars in this movie. Wells spies on him. He sneaks into his office, bugs his phone. He listens in on his phone calls and watches us get his knob slobbed. Almost. Who wants to see that, really? Rest in peace, dude. Wells calls Eddie with the, "I know what you did last summer" kind of thing, and he finally gets some dirt.
Look, I just got a phone call. We gotta talk. And we can't talk on the phone.
And a New York phone number.
Phone is listed under D Velvet in Manhattan.
That phone number leads to the studios of Dino Velvet. So they check out some of his films, and the same tattoo appears. He's apparently well known in the community.
Oh, Machine. Yeah, everybody calls themselves Machine.
Great name. Extreme porn king Dino Velvet is played by Peter Stormare. Wells tries to arrange a meeting with Machine by commissioning a film. It's getting dangerous, so he sends Max home. Wells shows up to the shoot, and it seems so legit. But it's a setup. They're onto him, and Eddie breaks his cover. And the lawyer is in on it. I guess he's the guy who's been following him. He never expected Wells to get this far.
You asked to buy a snuff film. They couldn't find you one, so you paid them to make you one, right?
And now they have Max, and they threaten to kill him. They want the film so they can destroy it. Wells surrenders the film, but they kill Max anyway. They beat him up, and they make him watch the film burn. But he gets them to fight among themselves over money.
You all still small time with $1 million to spread around.
Mr. Christian paid over $1 million, but the lawyer here kept most of it. I bet he calls it a legal fee. Fighting over money breaks up most marriages and criminal endeavors. The lawyer gets crossbowed. Awesome way to go. And Dino gets shot in the neck with a lucky shot. No, he was so young and sleazy. Wells stabs Machine, see how he likes it, and gets away. He calls Mrs. Christian and tells her the truth that her husband commissioned a movie of a young girl getting murdered.
Poor girl's name was?
Mary.
Method actors, am I right? But she commits suicide right after hearing this.
Miss Christian chose to take her own life this afternoon.
At least she paid her bill. Wells goes back to Eddie and roughs him up. Payback's a bitch. He makes Eddie take him to where they killed Mary. Here comes the exposition, the details of the filming day. And yes, they did kill a girl on film, and she's buried not far away in a shallow grave. Wells has spent the entire film trying to figure out the why.
Why?
Why anyone would film snuff. And nobody has a reason other than...
Because he could.
So he decides to kill Eddie. But he can't quite bring himself to pull the trigger. He calls Mary's mother. First, the good news, he found Mary and she did make a movie. Bad news is, you know the rest. But he asks her permission to punish them. And she's like, "Execute Order 66 on those fuckers." And that was all he needed. He kills Eddie and he burns his body in a pile of porn. Pretty sure he wanted to go out this way. Imagine looking across the aisle and seeing this staring back at you. "There's a man on the wing of this plane, and it's me." Wells tracks down Machine by calling hospitals, pretending to be a cop looking for stabbing victims. Without proper paperwork, that is a HIPAA violation. That night he breaks into Machine's house. And it's kind of a nicer house than you expect a guy named Machine. I know it's probably his mom's house. This entire sequence is nearly silent. The tension is, pardon the expression, killer. I don't know how this guy can sneak up on anyone, and it's literally Cage against the Machine. The fight moves to a graveyard next door. Awesome. And finally, we get to meet the man behind Machine.
Take off the mask.
Now let's see who he really is.
That's him.
What'd you expect, a monster?
Machine is a guy named George. And this just raises more questions. Why does he do what he does? No childhood trauma, no reasons behind the perversion.
I do them because I like them.
But in the end, Wells kills Machine. You can't park there, sir. That must have been a quick hospital stay because in the next scene, Wells goes home to his family. Finally. And no, I wasn't smoking. Okay, I smoked a little. Later, you see him trying to be normal. And he gets a letter from Mary's mom, thankful for being honest with her and killing 2 men on her command. Happy ending. Now give me therapy. Lots of it. That was 8mm. Nic Cage brings intensity and desperation to his portrayal of Tom Wells. He becomes obsessed with finding the truth. And here I thought it was about the money. And don't forget, he straight up murders 2 people, gets a couple other people killed. Not complaining, just an observation. Machine was a mysterious force at first, an imposing legend behind the mask, Bane without the silly voice. Expectations were high, and we were waiting for a Leatherface wannabe, some kind of gigantic beast behind that mask. His unmasking was a letdown, but I think that's the point. The monster was simply an ordinary person, someone you may live next door to. This film features graphic violence and torture portrayed as a form of entertainment, theme as old as time. The film raises questions about morality and the blurred line between reality and fiction. The script is full of twists that keep the audience guessing until the very end. It's a little slow, but the pacing allows the tension to build and build until the climax. You don't see much more visually than a typical horror or R-rated action movie, but when you consider the context, the movie is even more disturbing and the subject matter is horrifying. But I still get the impression the movie managed to play it safe, getting right up to the point of total depravity, pivots in favor of actually being able to play in regular theaters. 8mm is 3.5 Bs. A tense, slow burn, disturbing topic that's sure to raise some questions and stir inappropriate conversation at the dinner table. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, the bell, the usual YouTube stuff. Let's make this a great 2024. This is theNewBee, and I'll see you later, kids. Toodles!
Thank you.